All right, so today we're sitting down with Dr. Julie Mirpuri. She's an assistant professor at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, and she is a board certified pediatrician. Thank you so much for talking with us today, Dr. Mirpuri, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be able to have this conversation with you.
Fantastic. So, when somebody asks you what you do for a living, what do you usually say? Do you say you're a doctor, a scientist, something else?
So I get the privilege of saying I'm both.
Okay.
And so I say I'm a physician and a scientist. I'm a doctor and a scientist. And I get to have the best of both worlds, so to speak.
Do you remember when you first decided you wanted to enter medicine?
That is a good question. It was a very long time ago. I realized I wanted to become a doctor. My mom always loved doctors, and I think she wanted to have a doctor in the family. And she talked about doctors like they were amazing people. So it was at a pretty young age. I thought, you know what, I really do want to help people as well. I always felt that that desire to be helpful, and I thought a doctor would be a great way to do it. And then as I grew up and I loved biology, I said, this is fantastic. Now, the scientist part of it came actually a little bit harder because I actually never realized that you could be a doctor and a scientist at the same time. When I was training as a doctor, somebody said, oh, while you're becoming a specialist, and I'm a specialist in neonatology, so why don't you join a lab and do some science to answer some of these questions that you're asking in the hospital? And I said, oh, I guess I can do that. And I started doing that, and I got more training. And so now I get to go to the hospital and work with premature babies and sick babies. But I also get to go to my lab and do research to answer some of the questions and maybe develop some better treatments for them. So that's where the doctor scientist comes from.
So you mentioned the word neonatology. I imagine that a lot of the people that are watching haven't heard that term before, and if they have, they don't know what it means. So could you describe what a neonatologist does to someone who's not in the field?
Absolutely. So a neonatologist is a doctor who basically works in an intensive care unit, but only for babies. So we take care of babies who are born too early, so premature babies, and we have babies that are born as much as 4 months earlier than they should have been. And the smallest baby I've ever taken care of was 390 grams, which is very hard to imagine because not many people can see that. So I actually have if you've ever had your blood pressure taken in your arm, I actually have a blood pressure cuff for a premature baby, and it's right over here. But just to show you, this fits around my finger.
Oh my God.
But the premature baby's arm is like barely the size of my little finger. And so that's what neonatologists do. We take care of premature babies. We also take care of sick babies. So some babies are born and somehow when they were being developed, their heart didn't form normally or their brain didn't form normally, and we take care of those babies. We treat them. We help preterm babies grow so that they can eventually go home. It's a very interesting field, and it just doesn't depend only on me. I work with a team, a phenomenal team of people. There's nurses, there's respiratory therapists. Respiratory therapists help us to help the breathing of these babies. We work with nutritionists, and those are people who basically help us to give adequate feeds and the right types of feeds for babies. Because the most important thing you can do for preterm babies, help them grow so they can go home. And so basically that's what a neonatologist does, and we take care of these sick babies and get them ready. Our goal is to get them ready and healthy to go home to their parents. So,
was there a moment in your medical training that made you inspired to go into neonatology? Did you just really like babies from a young age and wanted to work with them?
I've always loved kids, and I always think that kids are so innocent, and there's just not anything that I would not do for a child. I've always felt that. And so when I went into pediatrics, so that's what you do first. You get training just to take care of kids. And a part of that, which is called the specialty, is neonatology. The first time I went into a NICU and I saw a small baby, and I was just in awe of how amazing and the things that we can do. And I was lucky because I actually saw that first baby that I took care of. I saw that baby go home, and I was like, oh my God, wow, we can do this. And we can have a baby who's so small and so fragile, and yet we can still help them so that they can get to the place where they go home with their parents. And it was like the most joyful experience. The other part of neonatology that made me fall in love with was the delivery room experience. So when babies are born, if during the delivery time they think maybe the baby's going to be born too early or the baby's going to be sick, they call the neonatologist and the team at the delivery. And I like a lot, some excitement in my life, I guess I'd say. And there's so much adrenaline in that room because you don't know how the baby's going to do, and so you get ready, and then it's like usually it's about 5 to 10 minutes of just really focused, a lot of energy, a lot of adrenaline, really great teamwork. And the first time I got to do that and then help a baby who wasn't doing well, and then eventually get them to the point where they're breathing and crying and they're doing great, it was just such a great, inspiring, energetic feeling. And so those are probably the two reasons I went into neonatology.
I see your emoji behind you, and I read in your bio that you said that the key to preventing disease in babies lies in their poop. So what kind of information can you get from that, and how does that help prevent disease?
So, I know I can make a lot of poop jokes, and a lot of people say, I like to say it may just be poop to you, but it's my bread and butter. But poop is actually, it's fascinating because there are so many bacteria in stool, and it gives us a clue as to the bacteria in our body. So, we think that we're all human cells, but we're only really about just under 50% human cells, because there are just over 50% bacterial cells in and on us. And so understanding how the bacteria interacts with our body is so important. And one of the most important things that bacteria in our intestines do is they help us digest food. And actually, our body is not well made to digest a lot of the foods out there. And we really need bacteria to help us digest it. And so by looking at stool, we get an idea of the types of bacteria and how they digest different types of food. And so we can get an idea of what are the best foods for our babies, how maybe adding different bacteria might help their intestine, help them grow better. And even for you and me, for adults, there's a lot of great research out there looking at how healthy eating, how, even exercising, how having good bacteria in your body can help your mood, your feeling good about yourself, your energy state, and actually prevent a lot of different diseases, including, obesity, and some other like diabetes and other common diseases. So I think stool is fascinating. I have a whole freezer full of stool and I treasure it. It's at a very, very cold temperature. And, we collect stool from our babies, from their diapers. And that is like gold to me because there's so many potential treatments and therapies that we can find from there that it's yeah. So I love my poop emoji. I'm very proud of what I do. I find it, I'm sure it shows, very exciting.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you're excited about it. Were you ever grossed out by it at all, or were you just immediately you knew all the wealth of knowledge that could come from it?
No, actually, the first time I was, when I was training to be the scientist part of it in the lab, and I had a mentor who had bought some stool kits. And I said, "Oh, what's that for?" Because at that time I was just doing mainly cells, and so that's pretty clean. And she said, "Oh, that's so that you can study some stool from mice." And I was really grossed out. It's like, oh my God, I'm not really gonna do that, am I? But then as I started to get into it, I'm like, oh my God, this is fascinating, So I guess there's a good lesson there. It's okay to be grossed out by things or not like it at the beginning, and sometimes if you just give it a chance, and you realize, oh my God, you know what? I love this, So no, I was initially grossed out, but now I just see the beauty of it. And like I said, it's a miracle of nature to me. So
do you have a favorite part of your job, something that you find the most fulfilling?
yes. The best part of my job is sending babies home with their parents, by far. And that moment when you can talk to the parents, and the baby has been in the ICU for 4 or 5 months, sometimes 6 months. We've even had babies there for a year, and then they're ready to go home and they're doing well, and then the parents can take them home. the most fulfilling thing in my career. And probably this the better part of that is sometimes when you bump into patients or your ex-patients in the street, and I've bumped into them, you know, at the supermarket, or they've come back to the hospital to visit, and then you see them grow up, and then they're these healthy kids, and they come and they give you a hug, and usually they won't remember you, but their parents will, and you're like, you know, that satisfaction you get knowing that, you know, you did work hard and you spent a lot of time and you had some sweat and you had some tears, and you join with the parents during those moments, and yet at the end of it you just see that it's like the most fulfilling part. And so that's definitely the best part of what I do.
And just lastly, do you have any advice for young people who maybe want to enter medicine or just a STEM career in general?
So absolutely. I think the biggest thing I do want to send a message is, you know, uh, I've never been the best at my grades, and, you know, I've never been like the very top person, but I've always had a passion for it. And I think the most important thing is to not give up, you know, to if you love something, learning it will come naturally, and you've got to give yourself the chance, you know. And in medicine, as in any STEM career, there are always ups and downs. You know, learning is not just, oh, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to go from here to there. It's usually like this course, yes, I understand it, I don't understand it, but you slowly will get up there. And so the best advice I can give to young people out there is don't give up on your dreams, and don't take failure as, okay, I'm not good enough to do this. And, you know, if you love what you do, success will follow. So if you're passionate about it, you guys, you know, I really love this. I might not be the best at it right now, but stick to it. Success will definitely follow. So that's the advice I would give.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. If someone wants to follow you or the work you do, is there anywhere online that they can do that?
Yes, I'm on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is @Julie_Mirpuri. And you can definitely reach out to me or send me a personal message. I also have an if then profile. So if you go on the if then site, there's my email address. There's a little bit long, but it's over there. And I am happy to reach out and you know, answer any questions for anybody, or just be a source of guidance or inspiration. I would love to do that, actually.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Definitely go follow Dr. Mirpuri on Twitter and keep up with her on the If Then page. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.